Hello, my name is Russell Myers, independent for U.S. President for 2024. So it seems that the U.S. government, U.S. military, have gone on a spree of bombing other countries of late. Um, since the beginning of 2024, the U.S. has bombed Yemen, Jordan, Iraq, Syria, and Somalia. Those, those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. Meanwhile, we're also arming Israel so that they can bomb Gaza, um, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, and both the U.S. and Israel are threatening to attack Iran. So all of this is by the Biden administration's statement to as a retaliation for attacks mostly by independent groups, not the governments of these countries, but by independent groups within these countries for attacks on U.S. military bases. Now, let me remind you that Iraq in 2018 or 2019 voted unanimously in their parliament for the U.S. to get all of our forces out of Iraq. Our presence in Syria is illegal. We are legally and within Jordan at the request of the Jordanian government. Somalia, no, we don't have any reason to be there according to their government. So, what is all this? Well, not long ago, all of these different countries within the Middle East had reached peace agreements that were mediated by China. So all of these countries are reaching peace agreements where there had been raging war for years in the Middle East because of ISIS and Al Qaeda that were being armed and funded by the U.S. government. Well, those terrorist organizations were pretty much defeated. So now there has to be another reason to spark war within the Middle East. But this time, this is not proxy. We're not using proxies. ISIS and Al Qaeda, we're not using them now. This is direct. And this is all aside from still arming and funding Ukraine to what degree the Biden administration has been able to get through Congress or manipulate around Congress. So the most likely weapons that were used by the military to bomb these countries recently, with reported 85 missiles in one day dropped on these countries, violating their sovereignty. Yes, it's all we talk all about sovereignty, but how much respect do we have for these countries' sovereignty when they tell us that they want us gone, or when we are bombing a sovereign country because U.S. troops that they told to that they said, get out of our country, we're still there. How much respect for their sovereignty do we have? Anyway, the those 85 missiles were most likely Tomahawk missiles. Tomahawk missiles cost an estimated between $1.4 and $2 million each. So you do the math on that. Let me remind you, though, the cost of those missiles, that is only the cost of the missiles. That is not the cost of the ships from which they are launched. It doesn't cover the salaries of all the military personnel to keep them in the Middle East in danger, to protect against, well, what? We can talk about Israel, but that doesn't have anything to do with our presence in Syria or in Iraq. Doesn't have anything to do with Somalia. And what does this have to do with? You tell me. Are we in danger that Somalia is going to invade the United States? How about Iraq? Or Syria? Or Yemen? Any of them? Are they going to invade the United States? No. We oppose peace talks between Israel and Gaza. And we have always opposed peace talks between Israel and Palestine. There has never been a point in which we actually endorsed peace and the rights of the Palestinian people. No, that has nothing to do with it. It's not striving for peace. What is this? If we listen to Israel, Netanyahu, saying that all Hamas members have to be wiped off the face of the planet, well, how do you know this? Do you know that at this point, since this active conflict began in October between Gaza and Israel, that 27,000 Gazans have died. Over 60,000 have been injured, and most of those have been women and children. And that's not even counting the elderly, the disabled, people who just can't, they can't vacate, they can't. How are they going to get out of there? And where are they going to go? And why should they? This is their home. What about their sovereignty? Are we respecting their sovereignty? No. Suddenly, Biden has talked about, Israel ending their illegal housing settlements in Palestine and Gaza. Where's this coming from? Because this has been expanding for many years. How far did these housing settlements expand during the Obama-Biden administration previously? How far have these settlements expanded in that region since Biden took office? And now all of a sudden, let's just talk about that. No. If this was not an issue for him before, then this is only the only reason that he is doing this is to make it. This is for PR purposes. This is for PR purposes. What is the likely effect of this? Do you think that Yemen, Gaza, Jordan, Lebanon, all of these countries are just going to stand down and just say, okay, we're not going to do anything will protect the Americans that are here illegally. We're going to stand up in the Americans' favor while they bomb our country. Do you think that that works that way? Because it does not work that way. These people want to live their lives. They're not looking for conflict. They want their own freedom. They want peace. And yet, this is what they're getting. The dangers with this. We are creating terrorists on a daily basis. The parents that see their children dead because of U.S. missile strikes, or because of drones and weapons that are supplied to Israel. Do you think they're going to be our friends? Do you think that they're just going to forget and just move on? Would you? Think about 9/11. And let me point out, only 3,000 people died on 9/11. Yes, that was an absolute tragedy. It was one of the worst things that has ever happened to this country. But compare that. 26,000 in Gaza alone. How many have died in Afghanistan and Iraq and Syria because of U.S. actions? Even if you're in favor of all of this, what is the cost? Our military budget, newly passed military budget, $880 billion. And that's just for the Pentagon. That doesn't include the CIA, which also has a budget that basically we don't get to know about. Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, just you name one agency after another. And the Pentagon budget does not include funding for the VA. That's separate. You add all this stuff up, all of this up. And how much do we spend on defense? It's well over $1 trillion a year, probably over $2 trillion if we add it all up. Meanwhile, we've got growing homeless population, Americans lined up for food banks, Americans on food stamps while they're working full time. We can help our own people, but instead we're putting ourselves at risk of World War III. If we really want to get Iran involved, Iran will get involved. But if Iran gets involved, Syria is going to get involved. Qatar is already involved. Are we going to bomb Qatar because they house the political offices of Hamas? Bahrain? Who else? Who else are we going to get involved with this? How many countries? And we're not even talking about Taiwan here. So where does this end? At what point? What is the stopping point for you. We do not get to dictate to the entire planet. People are moving away. Other countries are turning their backs on the United States. The entire Middle East at this point is turning their backs on the United States, except for Israel. Saudi Arabia, they're doing trade outside of the dollar. United Arab Emirates just developed an electronic payment system, a CBDC payment system, and their first purchase was with China. Had nothing to do with us. And they actually made that payment in their own local currency. Dinar, hold on. That was one I had to look up. And the dirham. So they made that payment in dirham. Bypassed the dollar. All these countries that are doing trade outside of the dollar weakens the dollar while our debt keeps going up and up and up and up. So even if you want to hate every Arab, every Muslim, and ignore the fact that people of different faiths live in these countries, ignore the fact that the second largest Jewish population in the Middle East is in Iran. The second largest Christian population, well, at least used to be in Syria, until we armed and funded ISIS, who went after the Syrian Christians because they're Islamic extremists. So we can ignore all of that. Right? These are human beings. But just ignore all the humanitarian stuff. How much do you want to pay? How much do you want to spend on this? How much do you want to take out of the United States? How much debt do you want to run up? How much more money printing do you want to do, which weakens the dollar and will lead to the eventual collapse of the U.S. dollar? How much more do you want to spend? If you can't look at it from the humanitarian side, look at it from your own self-interest. What do you want to do? Do you want this to keep going? I don't. I would much rather that we be able to trade with these people peacefully, to talk with these people, with these countries diplomatically, to reach agreements which respect their sovereignty, which take actions which do not create more terrorists. Sooner or later, this is going to come back to bite us in many different ways. Do you support any of this? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. I've already made all of my policies very clear on this issue. You can look them up on my website. Link is in the description. But please, let me know what your thoughts are on this. All right, thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day. If you can afford it, please donate whatever you can to help expand this campaign, and I will catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day.